Hello, my darlings. If you weren't expecting me to be anime, don't worry about it. This probably isn't going to be what I do full time, but I have a platform, we'll talk, and today we're talking about the new release possibilities of the 10th edition box set. I've been playing 40k since 2nd edition, and 2nd edition is coming back as a theme today. So we're looking at what's going to be in the starter box, rumours only, and it's been partly covered by the trailer that came out this morning. Now, in the 9th edition starter set, there were only Space Marines and Necrons, even though Battle Sisters were shown in the trailer. However, since all of the Space Marine units that appeared in the trailer and all of the Necron units that appeared in the trailer were later shown in the starter box, and then some more, we can be pretty confident that these units are going to be in the starter box for 10th edition. So, starting off with the Space Marines, we have a Flamer-like unit, which is a squad that all has these combi flamers, and the Flamer style is much like the Black Templars Flamer. So it's looking very distinct compared to the Imperial Guard Flamer and the Battle Sisters Flamer. They're much like the Desolators are a missile-only unit, and the Plasma Eliminator Marines were there to fight Chaos in the 8th edition starter set. It makes sense to have a Flamer-dedicated unit fighting Tyranids, and at least one, possibly a Leftenant. Why not? It looks a lot more like the much maligned Reavers. Now, we see it's not just one combi Flamer or one Flamer in the unit, as we see 3 firing at once at 1 minute 18 into the trailer. And they'll probably have a silly name like Incinerator Burners. We also have a captain front and center, came down with the Terminators in the trailer. He's got a cloak on his back, which appears much more prominently when you see him from the back in that second image, but later in the trailer. He has a power sword and Stormbolter, and you can tell it's the same person because the right shoulder pad is all white, and we also have the Iron Halo appearing on the top, which is a common mark of Terminator captains. Now, the Terminators have been upscaled as models. We have that confirmed. Terminators themselves look to combine regular and assault Terminators into one datasheet, which would also streamline all of the relic armor sets into one datasheet, which is something that Games Workshop said they want to do, both with codexes and with main rules. So we can see on the right, we have a Terminator Sergeant with a power sword. We've already mentioned the Captain as a separate model in the middle. And we also have a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield on the back right. And on the left, we have a Power Fist and Stormbolter. We already know that there is an Assault Cannon and Power Fist a bit later on in the trailer. Another model appearing in Terminator armor is the Librarian. It's definitely a Librarian. You can see from the psychic powers, and on the right shoulder pad, we have the Horned Skull, which is synonymous with the Librarians. There were rumors that there was going to be some model in Terminator armor with a large axe. This looks to be the model itself, and not something like the Executioner that the Chaos Space Marines have. Now, this one's a bit more interesting, the Apothecary, which may be in Terminator armor, or maybe in Gravis armor. From the look of it, I would say it is Gravis armor, because of the Mark IV Marine helmet, which all of the Primaris have, head covering that appears around the back of the armor. We have a Veteran Intercessor squad. They look to be Primaris, but again, this could be with streamlining. They could be making Stern Guard, either Primaris or Firstborn Marines. They have many combi weapons. We have the combi Melter Sergeant with the red helmet. There is a combi Flamer that we can see at 1 minute 23 into the trailer. And there's a combi Plasma appears at the end, and also firing at the Screamer Killer carnifex. You can tell these are veterans because they have the white trim around their shoulder pads. Perhaps Tyrannic War veterans will be coming back. The Dreadnought. Now, this looks to be an upscaled version of the box Dreadnought. It has very normal looking legs, as you can see in the top right, not the boxy waddle legs of old, such as in Dawn of War. And that trailer, you can see that in the bottom right, the twin las cannon and missile launcher Dreadnought. So this is that Dreadnought, but looking more Primaris, possibly Redemptor terminology will be used. You can see it has the Crux Terminatus on it, so it is the first company Dreadnought. Or maybe this is just an upscaling of the previous Dreadnought. And that makes up 8 units, including a Reaver Lieutenant, which would match the previous edition Marine starter set, where there were 8 units, half of which were characters. Now, looking over at the Tyranids, things seem to be going back to the 2nd edition style for Termagaunts, Hormagaunts, Zoanthropes, and the Screamer Killer. So looking first at the Termagaunts, they've become a lot more compact looking to keep them on the base, more like in the 2nd edition, where they didn't have these long pointed tails that kept the model off balance, which would be very nice to see. Otherwise, very little changes there. The Hormagaunts certainly look more compact, and their tails seem to be bent over onto their backs, and their claws themselves seem to be a lot shorter. This will keep the model on a 25mm base much better. The Biovores were something that also appeared first in 2nd edition, and they have been due a better updated model for quite a while. So they can be used to introduce artillery to the game of 40k, as the starter box is meant to give an introduction to all of the different rules. We have the Screamer Killer class Carnifex, which is something that looks very 2nd edition. The one in the trailer looks pretty unarmored. If you look at the model on the right, that has this very fleshy face. That has been used all across the trailer Carnifex. It has the classic 4 scything talons, as well as being able to scream bio or plasma, as we see very effectively in the trailer. This would be a useful big thing to be an opposite to the Dreadnought, more combat than shooting, and if monsters and vehicles were in separate keywords, then the starter box can show off one of each. Moving on to the Psychic, which we know is changing to not be a phase in itself, but to happen in other phases, such as the command phase or the shooting phase, as we have what could be a Zoanthrope. We see a single large one along with 2 attendants. Now this could be a Neurothrope, which was the HQ choice, being backed up by 2 Zoanthropes, or a single Zoanthrope being supported by 2 others, or it could be something entirely separate, and it'll be like a Nord Queen offshoot. It again looks to be going back to the 2nd edition style of Zoanthrope. That is it on the right, if you're not familiar with it, with this very large head to show off its psychic prowess. We have Lictors, which ambush the Apothecary in the trailer. And although it's been mentioned by other people, such as Allspec Tactics, that these could be some kind of Tyranid warrior, the tentacle face and the very large scything talons show it off to be a Lictor that appears both early and later in the trailer. So Lictors will be playing a part, probably 3 of them. As a large monster, we have the Flying Hive Tyrant. I assume it is a Flying Hive Tyrant with scything talons. The crest is a giveaway as synonymous with the Hive Tyrants that we've had since 3rd edition. Along with the large wings, so we can introduce flying rules into the game. Could be a Shriek Prime, but considering the size of it, even with the upscale Terminators, it's relative to them as we see the Hive Tyrant tear one apart, so I'm assuming it is something larger like a Hive Tyrant and not a Tyranid warrior-sized creature. And finally, we have these Feederbeasts that seem to be nomming on some Space Marines that have died. There were rumours that there were some Genehunter creatures, and these look to be a small Harrowspecs and fill a similar role to them. This would also give 8 units. Now, the final thing I wanted to mention from the trailer was we have this ending shot, and I'm very sure that either on the Warhammer community or in White Dwarf, there was this diorama made, and it seemed to be saying it was from a trailer for the new edition. And I cannot find where it is. Let me know in the comments if you know where this diorama was, and if I can confirm it, then this was basically a leak that we all missed. Thank you for listening. Let me know if you think I'm right or wrong about what's going to be in the starter set. If you want me to do this on a more regular basis to do with 40k information, then please give a like and a subscribe. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and I hope to see you all again.